Welcome back to Objective 4 in Chapter 10 of our 3B1 series. In this objective, we'll describe the design and explain the operation of simple blowdown, heat recovery, and automatic blowdown systems. So to begin, let's just have a quick review of exactly what blowdown is and what it's used for. So blowdown simply removes the removal of either TDS or TSS, where TDS is our total dissolved solids and our TSS is our total suspended solids. The one that controls TDS is CBD, continuous blowdown, and the one that removes suspended solids is IBD, i.e. intermittent blowdown. So lots of acronyms here, but you should be familiar with them already. Now, our CBD is what we're going to focus on in this objective, and the CBD valve setting is going to be determined by our total dissolved solids, which is determined via a conductivity test that will be taken at least once per shift to determine the conductivity of our boiler water. That is, how much electrical current will be passed through it. And that's going to be measured in either microsiemens per centimetre or mhos. Now, our water treatment, typically our phosphate treatment below 6200 kPa, is going to determine our IBD requirements regarding our frequency of IBD. Now, there are two terms that are used somewhat interchangeably throughout the regulations and this industry, and that is blow down versus blow off. Most power engineers just refer to the IBD and CBD as blow down. Blow off is tending to be used for pressure release. So for example, a safety valve releasing or going to a pop tank from a vent or something like that. So blow down is the removal of a liquid basically, and blow off is the removal or the release of a vapor or a gas. However, you will find the ASME code uses these terms interchangeably with blow off and blow down, as we've seen earlier in Chapter 5. Okay, so regarding our continuous blowdown, or our CBD, the pipe itself is going to be located approximately 15 centimetres below the normal water line. As it's been found, this area of the steam drum is where the water is going to contain the highest concentration of TDS. Now, by manipulating the valve's position, we can either increase or decrease the rate at which it removes fluid from the boiler. And this is going to be typically continuous, meaning it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now, this valve will be manipulated typically depending upon what we get for that conductivity test. But because we need to manipulate this valve accurately, more accurately than other valves, it is a special type of valve that's normally referred to as a vernier valve. And the vernier part is basically a micrometer handle where we have graduated dials and scales on the valve. And in that way, we're able to dial this in most accurately and determine beyond a reasonable doubt the exact position the valve is in or was in. So here's a typical application or a typical example of a CBD valve. This is a V-notch valve, so you can see the internals of it on the bottom left-hand image, and then you can see it in situ in the middle, and on the far right you can see that vernier dial on the actual valve stem and the valve wheel. If next time you're in the power lab, just take a look at the CBD valves. They're on the back of the water tube boilers. Now, the typical set point for a CBD valve, or I should say a typical good starting point for a CBD valve, is that it will be set at 1% of the steaming rate. And then from there, it can be dialed in more accurately based upon our conductivity test, which is going to be determined, of course, by the operating pressure of the boiler. The higher the operating pressure, the lower the conductivity requirement. The lower the operating pressure, the higher it will be. Now, the other type of blowdown is our IBD, or our intermittent blowdown. This is simply going to remove the suspended solids that have precipitated out at the bottom of our drum, typically if we're using a precipitating phosphate program. The recommendation for blowdown is that it should be performed every 24 hours, and that recommendation comes out of ASME Section 7. We discussed the intermittent blowdown arrangements previously in Chapter 5, so we should remember that it consists of two blowdown valves, where at least one of them has to be a slow opening valve. It will contain a blowdown tank, interconnected piping, and it may or may not incorporate a heat recovery exchanger. Now, typically, the CBD and the IBD are both piped to the same vessel, and we can see this here indicated in figure 1 from your textbook on page 15. So our CBD is piped down through the CBD valve going into our blowdown tank, and then you can see at the bottom here from our mud drum, we have our IBD arrangement with our 2 blowdown valves also being piped to the same location into our blowdown tank. Now, the purpose of the blowdown tank is simply to cool down the water to below 65 degrees before it gets discharged down to the sewer, as indicated, and it also is a place where it allows the water coming out at a high temperature to flash some steam off, and that steam can be flashed off to atmosphere. Now, of course, there are specific requirements for blowdown tanks, as outlined in B51, that we went over back in Chapter 5, and I do encourage you to review those in case you're a little bit rusty upon them. Now, because we're removing hot water with regards to our CBD, and it's being removed usually continuously, that stream of water over a 24-hour period will be quite the volume. And that volume of very hot water will contain a lot of enthalpy, i.e. heat energy. So if you think about it, we're basically tipping all of that enthalpy down the drain. Well, that's quite a waste, and it represents a loss in efficiency. So a method that's commonly used on these systems is to incorporate a heat exchanger. And this will just be simply a typical small shell and tube heat exchanger where the feed water will be on one side and our blowdown from the blowdown vessel will be on the other. Now, if we zoom into this diagram here from your textbook on figure 2, we can see how that arrangement is performed with reference to our CBD. So we can see coming out of our steam drum, we come out via our CBD valve, it comes down now and heads into our blowdown tank, or as indicated here, our flash tank. Now, once that's flashed off, that flash steam now, instead of being vented to atmosphere, is now sent through and put into the side of the deaerator column. This now will reduce the requirements for our makeup steam or our sparging steam that is going to be put into the deaerator to cause that scrubbing action with a counterflow arrangement of our dissolved oxygen and our feed water. In other words, we want to scrub that clean. And in the deaerator, we're removing CO2 and O2 and any other dissolved gases that are in there. The other one that sometimes pops up, depending upon where we're getting the water source from, could be ammonia as well as a dissolved gas. Now, at the bottom of the flash tank, once we've flashed off what steam it is, that hot water now is going to now go down and pass over the shell side of a shell and tube heat exchanger. The tube side of that exchanger is now going to be where our feed water, or could be our condensate's going to pass through. That's now going to put some preheat into that feed water or condensate before it makes its way and goes into our deaerator for movement on as boiler feed water on the discharge side of our pump, and then makes its way via the economizer into our steam drum. The other interesting thing in this diagram is that on the line coming out of the steam drum, we also can see here that we have a sample cooler going down to waste. And that's simply where we'll take our samples for regards to things like our water tests. And that sample cooler will simply be cooled against cooling water or maybe just simply utility water. Now, we can also have automatic blowdown systems, and these are typically found on much higher pressure boilers that run at much lower conductivities. Now, the idea is, if our boiler runs at a very low conductivity due to its high pressure, then the requirements for blowdown will not be as severe regarding CBD. So because of that, it's more efficient to put a conductivity controller into this system, and then that controller will determine when the valve will open, and we will only have to blow down the water required to get our set point. In other words, we're not blowing down continuously. We're only blowing down when we need to. This is a massive saving, of course, upon our efficiency. Now, the system for this one is indicated in figure 3 of your textbook, and it's a fairly straightforward system. We can see once again we have our CBD line coming out of our steam drum, but now it's going to pass down through our blowdown control valve station, where we'll have isolation valves upstream and downstream of our control valve, and then we'll have a bypass around it. Now, this control valve here is connected to a blowdown controller or a conductivity controller. Now, where the conductivity comes from is down via our sample line, where a sample line is tapped off of our blowdown line, passes through a sample cooler, which will typically cool it down to a temperature of approximately 24 degrees C, and it will then pass through a conductivity measuring cell, which is basically just a conductivity sensor. The output from that conductivity sensor is going to go via a transmitter and go into our blowdown controller. The blowdown controller is going to compare the process variable from the conductivity measuring cell to the set point that's been dialed in by the operator via the DCS or direct to our blowdown conductivity controller. Depending then upon the error, it's going to send an output signal to the blowdown control valve to tell it to either open up further, pinch off further, completely open or completely shut, depending upon what that conductivity is. After the water then of course passes through our blowdown control valve, it will then pass off through to our blowdown tank or a flash tank, and then it's going to pass out down to the sewer. These arrangements typically don't include heat exchangers because that blowdown rate of water is not continuous, so it's not really economical to waste time by installing a heat exchanger into a system like this. Okay, that's pretty much it for Objective 4. A pretty straightforward arrangement, and again, a complete repeat of what you would have talked about previously back at 4th class. So let's check out some typical questions that you might see for this objective. So first, automatic blowdown systems use a something controller. Is that pH, temperature, level, or conductivity? Well, we just finished talking about it. That was conductivity, or it can also be referred to as simply a blowdown controller. And this is what determines our TDS set point, which is going to determine the valve's position. Next one. In a simple blowdown heat recovery system, the flash steam is sent to the where? Is it the blowdown tank, the condensate return line, the deaerator, or the sample cooler? Well, this is a question that refers to figure 2 here in our textbook, and this is simply sending our flash steam from our flash tank into the column or the side of our deaerator, and this will then reduce the requirements for makeup sparging steam that also goes into our deaerator, thereby improving our efficiency. So our answer here is the deaerator. Next one. Flash steam from the boiler blowdown tank, does that increase the amount of low pressure steam required for deaeration, decrease the amount of low pressure steam required for deaeration, decrease the required feed water heat required, or increase the heat required? Well, same as what we just talked about. If you look at figure 2, check out where our flash steam and makeup steam are entering into the deaerator. The more flash steam we put into the side of the deaerator, the less makeup steam we're going to require. So the answer here is going to be B. It will decrease the amount of low pressure steam required for our deaerator. Next one. If a boiler had a blowdown conductivity controller set point of 3000 microsiemens per centimetre and the water was at 3200 microsiemens per centimetre, the control valve would be what? Fully open, fully closed, partially open, or partially closed? Okay, so let's look at the set point. The set point is 3000. If we're below set point, the valve will be closed. If we're above set point, the valve will be open. This type of controller is a proportional controller. So take a look at our process variable. It's at 3200. That's pretty close to our set point. So it would be unlikely that the valve would be all the way open because we're not that far over our conductivity set point. It's far more likely that the valve will only be partially open because we're fairly close to set point. So there's our answer there, and that's sort of how we can rationalize that. Next one. A boiler blowdown heat recovery system increases what? Does it increase boiler efficiency, boiler enthalpy, boiler power, or boiler temperature? Well, if we're recovering heat, that's got to be an increase in efficiency because the less heat we waste and the more heat we can dump back into the system via our feed water, the more efficient the overall cycle is going to be. So there we go. There's Objective 4, a fairly nice straightforward one. I'm sure you knew all of that before from 4th class. So give it a quick review, and then when you're ready, let's move on and talk about Objective 5, where we'll talk about typical sampling and automatic monitoring equipment for water tests and internal treatment. So take care. See you back for that one soon.